Are we the Screaming Divas or what?
We are the Screaming Divas in the snow.
In the snow. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, people.
Okay, I'm going to say this because I have heard about this wonderful guest, but I had never met her.
She's wonderful.
She is wonderful. We were at the Met at the same time, but never ran into each other right now. It is the reigning queen of the night, Kathryn Lewek.
Who I've known as Katie for quite some time now. Everybody calls her Katie. She is an amazing, not only singer and performer and stuff, but just a really super cool human. I love her and her husband, Zach. And now they've got two babies.
Mama, she's a mama.
She's a mama. So we had a wonderful, awesome chat talking to her about all like the gamut of career, motherhood, everything.
Pandemic, singing hundreds and hundreds of shows of the Queen of the Night. And what's next for her, right? That's exciting.
Very exciting stuff.
Please check this out. Yes. Yeah, there we go. And Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome
Happy New Year. Stay safe, stay warm.
And welcome to season 3.
Season 3.
Okay.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye. It's like you were saying earlier, like, well, what's going to happen when we all go back to doing this? Well, it's like, I don't know. It's one day at a time, but the one constant is that we focus on each other and we make that the number one priority over everything else. Because that's what matters, honestly. Like, okay, the singing thing, I'm here for the ride, but and it's like a wonderful passion that I have, but my biggest passion is for my family and my husband.
It's awesome.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Okay.
I wanted you guys to meet Charlie. Mackenzie's not here right now, but
Charlie, those cheeks are to die. I mean,
I just said can I call you Katie or is it Kathryn?
Katie.
I said to Carrie, where can I go buy one of those? I don't want to go through the 9 months. So can I just buy one?
More than 9 months.
Oh yeah. Well, that's true. After the 9 months, it's the all rest of it.
That's sort of miserable, and then then there's no sleep after that for a while. See, I feel like Charlie is like my initiation into actual parenthood because Mackenzie, who's 3 now, and Carrie, she knitted the most adorable little hats for her, and I still have them. She wore those, Carrie.
And I promised you more. And I haven't. I'm a terrible friend. I have not done them yet.
Carrie, you have enough on your plate.
His head is so cold.
Hi, Carrie. I'm leaving. My hair is not presentable.
Hey, Chris says hi to you too, Zach.
Hi.
Bye.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, it looks like a winter wonderland behind you, Carrie.
Well, I'm just happy we have power and this is happening right now.
He made me coffee in my Diva cup.
Of course.
Because, actually like 4 different people have given this. This is the one from the Met Opera.
Right.
And like 4 different people have given me this mug.
I have it.
And I have to like act original every time they give it to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this. This is so clever. Oh my God. Thank you.
Well, now you have a set though, like you can, right?
I can serve tea to the queen.
There you go.
Well, you are the queen of the night.
You are the queen of the night, and welcome to the Diva show.
Thank you, guys.
We need entrance music. We need like
we do.
Do diva diva do. Yeah, I don't know.
No, my entrance music is
Oh, that's true.
I mean, it's built in.
There you go.
Do you have like nightmares about that? Just what?
No. I think I used to have anxiety dreams about singing Queen, but it's been like 10 years now. So it's like, I mean, I occasionally do get nervous. Like I was nervous at the beginning. I was randomly so nervous at the beginning of this run at the Met this season. I think it was a combination of the fact that like I was coming back from having a baby and feeling kind of out of shape because of having a baby and also because of the pandemic. Because with Mackenzie, I was singing until I was 8 months pregnant with her. I was singing queen. And
8
so
months?
yeah. And so I kept in good shape, even though I felt like a whale, a singing whale. But it was like, I was still, so even though I took some time off when I had her, and then also I went back to the Met and sang Queen 6 weeks after I had her. So it was like such a little amount of time. There was no time for me to like lose that muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it's like, it's been COVID and I've been teaching a lot. So that's kind of like kept me in shape some. But I think a lot of people went through this. I went through a time where I just didn't sing. I was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What is
I felt like the pandemic was on an endless loop of devastation. I mean, not only just the pandemic itself, but everything that was going on in the world, throughout that whole year. It just was like, what am I doing that's making a difference? Is really me opening my mouth and singing a high C really making a difference to anybody? So no, I think we all went on this really weird roller coaster ride journey through all of it. And so I know that when I stepped on stage for the first time in September after 18 months, I was like, it's like riding a bike. Do you remember how to do this? And why am I like, like more so than normal? So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually feel like my students like had a better practice like situation. I'm not coming up with the word. They just had like more discipline than some of us who have established careers, because we're so used to like working for money and working towards a project and working towards like, learning new roles and brushing up old roles. And it's like, it's for this and this and this and this. And you like kind of get in the grind of like, okay, this is when I'm singing this role, but I'm also learning this at the same time. And then I'm brushing this up. And it's like, you kind of organize your life like that. Mm-hmm. And you have no choice whether or not to practice or to learn things, because if you don't make your money, you don't do your job, you don't support your family, you don't do the things that you're supposed to do.
Right. Renee Fleming said that. Renee said the same thing. She said, if I don't have a goal that I have to go for, forget it, and I think we're all like that, because I think that's why we are all so good at what we do, is because we are goal driven. And we're so used to that schedule. I mean, Carrie has a crazy schedule at home here. Even if she's not out singing right now, she will be. But, she has this schedule, and we're so used to having that schedule that when the pandemic came along, it was like, whoa, what do we do with my time now?
What do we do?
I want to know, like, okay, so you said you had the baby, you went back to the Met, you sang, we should tell people the Queen, when we say the Queen, you have sung the Queen of the Night at the Metropolitan every season since 2013?
Yes. Yeah.
Which means, but that means though that you've broken the record of singing the most performances of a role at the Metropolitan Opera. You are like record of the Queen. This is freaking amazing.
Thanks. I didn't even actually know that I had broken the record, and it turns out that I broke the record before the pandemic, but I had no idea. But this was like new information to me at the last the Saturday broadcast on the 18th. My parents were listening because they're my biggest fans,
of course.
And my mom writes to me, she's like, "Congratulations, Queen!" And I was like, "What?" Like, it's just any other performance that I just sang. She's like, "No, you just broke the record." So it's like, apparently they had announced at the end that I'm the record holding, have sung the most performances of Queen in company history. And then I looked it up, and I think it was Miklosa and I can't remember who else, but they both had tied for 32 performances. Well, I mean, on the 18th, that was my 37th performance, and now I've done 43.
Whoa. Holy shamoly.
So like, I blew that record right out of the water, right? Step aside.
Well, congratulations. We will give you I have a Queen. Oh, here it is. This is just for you. This is my little Queen.
Queen crown.
I love it.
So we'll put that on you. There you go. But when you came back after the pandemic, you had a baby. Did muscle memory kind of kick in for you when you went back to this role that you've sung, gajillion many times, or was it still work?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
Because with Queen, it is really muscle memory for me. And I feel like there are other things that I was working on for the first time. Like, for example, I'm working on Violetta for the first time right now. I'm going to be making my role debut in April. And so I'm hard at work on that. And like working on that feels so much more like, oh, my body has to do the right thing, and it's also a very different thing than singing Mozart. And I've sung lots of Mozart and lots of Handel in my career, and it's just a very different beast, and it feels right and it feels good, especially now that I've had my kids. My voice kind of went,
Yeah.
And so it's all very good, but it definitely feels like I have to be really smart about things.
Mm-hmm.
But with Queen, gosh, like I really just kind of have to like turn on the switch that's like, okay, do it right. And then it really is like muscle memory. And but it doesn't mean that it's easy. It's really it remains. I think that's why I continue to take them. I mean, not only because it's kind of the most lucrative role that I sing in my career. And also it introduces me to a lot of people and a lot of houses, and it's just a very useful thing to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, it remains interesting to me because it's such a challenge to do it every time. It's different every time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, there's so little room for error. Unlike with a lot of other roles where you're on stage for a lot longer. Okay, if you make a little mistake here and there, you just kind of like flub a little note here or there or whatever, forget to support on one note. It's like, okay, like over the course of, like the percentage of the notes that I sang on stage tonight were fine. But with Queen, like, I literally walked off stage last night. We had our last one last night.
Oh, yay. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. So I'm like, yay, I didn't get COVID all the way through my run. That was like the thing everybody was scared about.
Hello.
Oh my God. Okay, we do have to talk about that. We have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
hello.
Sandra, you and I almost met in person.
Did we?
Because we were in the same building at the same time. But that building, the Metropolitan Opera, is so freaking huge that you never see anybody from any of your other, unless you're in the canteen. That's the only place that you see anybody from a different production. But of course, nobody's in the canteen right now. But yeah, I heard.
I would go do my rehearsals and get the heck out of Dodge and go to the dressing room and warm up, and I still got COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
It is crazy. They're crazy.
Was your show like our show where it was like a different cast every night?
Only for the last show, because we had some of the smaller roles. Got it.
Yeah. We lost our conductor. I mean, Patrick did a wonderful job. He, stepped right in and it was fantastic. We went through like 4 different prompters. We went through 3 or 4 different first ladies. Our Monostatos went down, Rodel Roselle.
Roro, he was in our show.
Not that I want this to happen, but I'm just curious, like why haven't they shut it down? I mean, they shut Broadway shows down. They shut the Rockettes down. I mean, they probably can't afford to, because maybe it would close the doors forever. I don't know, but I just was kind of curious. Like, what we have so many protocols with AGMA. I was surprised that all of this was.
Where is AGMA?
Is everybody surprised?
I think the reason that the Met hasn't shut down is because there are a number of shows going on there, and they also have so many people to grab at for covers.
Right.
I mean, last week, Carrie, I think I told you, they recruited me last minute. They were like, we see you sung the Fairy Godmother before. We lost our cover. Can you learn the role? I was like, hi. I was like, when do I need to know it by? I mean, of course, I had done
in English
8 years ago, but I had never done it in English. I'd never done this production. And they're like, can you start covering tomorrow? So it was like, I learned the role while I was like, thank God there's so much time in between arias of Queen, because they called me at 3 p.m. I was on my way out the door to drive to the Met for one of my own performances, and they were like, can you ring, 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 banana phone? Can you? And they were like, can you cover? And I was like, okay, Christmas bonus. Like, you know, I mean, I felt sort of compelled to say yes, because we all lost so much during the pandemic.
Right.
And like, we bought a house, we have 2 kids, like,
Yeah.
I have financial responsibilities. So I was like, yeah, I will do this. And so we literally packed up the kids, and a dear friend of mine let us stay at her apartment. She was in Miami for the holidays, so she let us stay there last week on the Upper West Side, so that I got the kids near me, because like I'm still breastfeeding Charlie, so I can't be away from him for a long time. Like I can't. I'm storing up milk right now for a trip to Korea in March.
I wanted to ask. Okay. I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. What are you doing it? Yeah.
So Zach and I are both doing Lucia, which is the show that we did when we fell in love.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's really fun to revisit it. And so we're hoping that it still happens, you know, I mean, because of everything that's happening with Omicron right now, it's really hard to know the future.
But how does that work? Okay, so let's say Omicron we're good to go. You're going to Korea. So how does that work with the kiddos, and how does that work with breastfeeding and all that?
Yeah, so my breast pump is my best friend these days. I stare lovingly at it even when I'm not using it.
Okay.
So I basically have gotten myself to a point where, so here's the nitty gritty. I can produce more milk than he needs right now, and I started, as soon as I started pumping a few weeks after he was born, that was my goal anyway, even before I even knew about Korea. So I've been producing more than he eats for that purpose. And so I've just kind of kept it up with my breast pump, and I just pump more often than he eats.
Okay.
So I'm just working on storing up, you know, and it's just like.
And is that for Korea? Are you storing up for Korea? Are they going with you to Korea?
Yeah.
No, because it's just a 5-day thing.
Oh, okay. So
it's really quick. Like, I think we'll probably spend more time on the plane than actually in the country.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're a parent, so then mom and dad help over, and that's why you store up all the. Okay, got it. Yeah. I was wondering about that because I know you guys travel together. You have so far, from what I've seen on your social media stuff. So I just, when I saw that you had Korea coming, I thought, oh Lord Jesus, how's that going to work out? So
yeah,
I was going to ask you when we're back in a couple months, you know, back going to Europe, flying on planes, eating at restaurants. What's that? I don't know. What are you going to do with the little kiddos? You know, this is always a question for 2 singers in a family, you know?
Yeah. So basically our plan from the beginning was to homeschool the kids and travel as a family and remain as a family unit as much as possible, which doesn't mean that we don't spend any time apart, but it means that we carefully and you know, and we're very, very fortunate to be able to do this, to be able to choose what jobs we take and what jobs we don't take. And so essentially it's like we take every offer as it comes, and we kind of examine and sort of do that checks and balances thing of like, is this worth us being apart for this X amount of time, us as a family, not just Zach and I as a parental unit, but you know, and what would happen with the kids, who would have the kids, who would, you know, and so yeah, it's really I can't really tell you what it's going to be like, because it's kind of always a different situation. There is no like one there is no one parent who always has the kids, and there is no, I mean, right now I have to be with Charlie because I'm still breastfeeding him, but I mean, this was kind of good in a way for me to, I mean, I sang all the way through my pregnancy with Mackenzie. And as I mentioned earlier, I was singing 6 weeks after she was born, and I had a C-section, and it was a traumatic birth, and I had preeclampsia, and it was a nightmare. And so the gift of the pandemic for me, and I hate to I gripe about this a lot to my family, that so many people are like, well, the silver lining of the pandemic for me was, it's like, how can we really use that term when people are dying and when loved ones can't be with one another? And it's been so awful for so many. But to take the opportunity to, we always knew we wanted to have 2 kids. So we actually were planning our second pregnancy for this past season as it was. I had taken a really light schedule because I was like, I can't do what I did with Mackenzie. I can't be on an outdoor venue stage at 8 months pregnant in Spain in August.
No.
In a long black gown.
Oh,
And live to tell the tale. I can't do it again. I can't.
yeah.
So I had like taken a really light schedule. And so actually, when so many people were like, oh, this premiere of mine got canceled, or this role debut got canceled, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of devastating cancellations. Near the beginning, I had a few, like my first 2 Gildas I was supposed to do, and those got canceled. And they were both supposed to be with Zach, which would have been fun. And we hadn't done anything together other than a couple of recitals. So it would have been our first like foray back into on stage.
Right.
So certainly some disappointments, but no devastations for me. So I was really lucky in that respect. And we kind of put off having a baby at first because we were like, well, let's just kind of see what's going on here. And this was like still before people really knew if it was affecting kids a whole lot or people or anything. And actually before we got pregnant, like after it had been determined that it wasn't hitting kids as hard, but before they said, but it's killing pregnant ladies, like left and right. So we got pregnant, and then it was like, I basically went into hiding. I honestly basically went into hiding.
I bet.
I was terrified. I was just terrified. And then, I mean, I was like first in line for the vaccine.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I was like, the alternative,
right?
It's like we concretely know that COVID is worse for pregnant women than the vaccine is,
Yeah.
So
I get it, but you did it. And then tell me this. Now, you had to cancel, I think, your first job back, right? After all of this, because of giving birth and issues and all that kind of stuff with that. How horrible was that?
So I really, again, I Pollyannaed my way into thinking that I could fly my newborn son and my whole family to London to make my Royal Opera House debut 6 weeks after I had him. And honestly, I think I was like on the road to being able to do that. Like, I mean, Carrie, you've known me for a while. I'm a pretty go-get-em kind of gal.
Right.
And so I was like, I can do this, like I can do this. Even though, like with Mackenzie, again, I sang Queen at the Met 6 weeks after she was born, but it was 25 minutes down the road.
Right.
So I was like, I had my nursery and my bassinet, and I had my support system, and I had like everything, And I was like, but I think, and it would have been like 8 weeks after he was born. And it was a scheduled C-section this time because they didn't want to mess with the preeclampsia again and all the horror stuff that I went through in my first birth. So it was all planned. And funny side note, fun fact, both my kids were pretty big babies. But what's funny is that Mackenzie I carried until 42 weeks, which is 2 weeks after your due date. Like women's due dates are at 40 weeks. And I carried her for 42 weeks. And and she was big. And then it was a nightmare. And then so they when they do a scheduled C-section, they always schedule it for 39 weeks. So he was born 3 weeks gestationally younger than Mackenzie, and he was still bigger.
He looks, I know.
He's a big boy. Zach is like the tallest tenor in the biz. He's 6'6".
Yeah.
He's a giant. All the tall sopranos love singing with Zach.
Yay!
I am 5 feet tall. Like, I am 5 feet tall. We look ridiculous on stage together. We look like father-daughter. Like, I look like the little 10-year-old.
Whatever. All I know is that when you came at me as Maria Schwarzer and Elizabetha, I was like, you might be 5 feet, but girl, you are walking on the stage like you are 6'10". I mean,
I would have paid money for that scene.
You're a beast on stage. So, that doesn't really even fit you. So I can understand why you birthed some big old babies, girl. Yes.
Now, can we talk about social media and the press and the lovely rows that you've had with the press calling you buxom and stocky?
Yeah.
Was that pre-pandemic? Was that before the pandemic?
Yes.
Yeah. And if it had just been buxom or stocky, I would have rolled my eyes and looked the other way and just kind of been like, well, that's rude, but whatever. When I was singing Orpheus Enfer, it was the new production at the Salzburg Fest the summer before the pandemic.
Oh, it was in Salzburg. Okay.
Yeah, and a German critic from Die Welt, I think it was Manuel Brugg is his name. He basically diminished the entire production. This was Barry Kosky's new production of Orpheus Enfer, and it was fantastic. It's on DVD now. I mean, it's like, you got to see it. You guys would love it. Okay. It's a fantastic production. It's raunchy. It's, like almost everybody is nearly nude. I mean, it's just, there's like Swarovski studded genitalia all over the stage.
That's hysterical.
It's cool.
Oh, it's really
more porn opera.
It is opera porn. It is absolutely opera porn. Super, super fun. And of course I was like 9 months postpartum, 10 months, like throughout the process, and not feeling my fittest. Again, like I just had a really terrible birth experience. I had kind of not like a medically complicated pregnancy, but it was just really hard on my body.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because I was carrying a giant's baby and I'm a tiny person. Like I was showing at 7 weeks. Whoa. Like I literally, I know it was really, really wild. I found out I was pregnant, and like a week and a half later, it was like, boop, boop. It just like,
you're not supposed to say anything for 3 months or something?
Exactly.
You're like, I had a very big meal.
I know, right? It's like, was Thanksgiving yesterday?
Yeah,
I sang a gig out in California, and do you guys know Deb Nansdale? She's a contralto mezzo in the biz, and she was like, Katie, are you? And I was like, yes, but what the heck? I'm 7 weeks.
So what'd you say to this guy? Like, I'm sorry, but
I was really proud of you because you went at him. You were like, whatever. So go ahead. Sorry, tell the story.
Yeah. So he basically kind of diminished the entire production into actually, he didn't say anything about anybody's singing, which that kind of almost pissed me off more than anything else. It's like he only talked about how he didn't like the production and It was just about fat women spreading their legs on stage in a corset. And so that was what he thought of me. And I thought, yeah, but like there's some really brilliant things. Like maybe if you don't like the raunchiness, fine. You know, like just say, I'm a conservative prude and I don't enjoy this on stage. But like then talk about the other elements of the show. Talk about how like all the dialogue, our guy who played Styx, Max, he learned everyone's dialogue and he did all the speaking and we all mouthed it.
Whoa.
So he did, like crazy voices for us.
Cool. Okay.
There is a lot of amazing depth in this production. And yet all he could talk about was my fat body in a corset. And I was like, listen, like, I think if here's the rub, if you will. I know that a lot of singers in this business have had experiences like that. I know this because after I talked about it, like so many people were like, oh yeah, you think that's bad? Like, listen to my story, listen to what somebody said about me in a newspaper. And I just became so horrified. And this was like all pretty new to me because like, I've always had like my own internal struggle with like trying to stay, you know, as close to a Barbie doll figure as possible, because that is like somehow important in our business. And like, I think it's important to be healthy because, you know, I think that I sing better when I'm physically in shape and not, you know, treating my body like it's a garbage zone. But I guess I just woke up and realized that it wasn't just about getting hired or not. You know, like your physical appearance. It wasn't just about casting directors quietly the resume of someone who didn't look the part. It was about truly talented singers not having opportunities. And then, or if they do have the opportunity, they have to put up with people judging only that above what we're in it for, which is the singing and the acting. You know, it's also about that. But I think that's what made me so mad. Like because I felt like I stepped my foot into this world, into like this room of mostly women, but not only women,
right?
Who had been putting up with this for their entire careers. And most of the people that I talked to like had successful careers, and so it's like they had been really putting up with. I mean, how degrading and how embarrassing and how just it's like it made me so angry that people would talk about that instead of the singing. Like you know, we've all been working for decades to perfect our craft, and in my situation, like, you know, I felt like I was the heroine of my own little story of like, hey, look at me, pat me on the back. I just came back from having a baby and it was really hard. And I have a new baby at home and my body is not my own. And and can't seem to get rid of my body weight because I'm also dealing with postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression.
Hormones, right?
And I've flown across the world to do a new production, and I have to wear this costume. And you know, I do not want to blame Barry or any of our costume people or like anybody, because I felt great in that costume.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know, I may not look like I did before as my tiny little petite self, but I still felt like I'm owning this. And I am bringing to the table my new experiences and my new vulnerability. And it can only make it better. Like, this can only make my artistry better. It can only make my singing better. And I had so many people pumping me up like that, and like believing it myself. And then for him to just be like, no, she's a fat lady in a corset. Who cares how she's singing?
And it just takes one person, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you're like, balloon popped.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is the one person who's willing to be honest.
Whatever. I thought you looked hot in that costume, girl. I thought you were working it.
Me too. Me too. Voluptuous, and you know what? You owned it.
Yeah. Okay. I really want to
Thanks.
ask you this. So you had such an enormous success with Ariodante, with Cecilia Bartoli. And what I read about, I mean, I remember what was going on at the time, but that how well your voices just really like beautifully were together, and the two of you and the acting, the whole thing. Is anybody coming up with new projects that you can talk about with the two of you?
Not at this point. I mean, I know that you know, she did love working with me, and I adored working with her. She's a class act. She's you know, not a diva bone in her body. I was terrified of working with her. I mean, also because like the whole cast, it was like Nathan Berg was the king, and then Sandrine Pio was the Dalinda, and we had this countertenor, Christophe Dumont, who is like just the most incredible bad boy on stage. And it's so funny because he met my mom backstage after one of the performances, and he, like, in his thick French accent, he was like, I just want you to know that I'm not a bad person. I'm actually really a very nice person, and I have kids and I love them. And I am a family man.
Oh my God, I love this so much.
Your mom.
That's precious though. That's so
Because he's
cute.
so awful. Like, he rapes me, tries to rape me on stage. And then I mean, seriously, for those who are watching this, if you've not seen this production, like, run, do not walk to see this production. It is so brilliant. Christophe Lloyd directed it.
Oh,
And,
yeah. Cool.
he just kind of brilliantly came up with this timeless presentation. My husband like had a kind of interesting thing to say, because and it kind of encapsulated what I think about Handel, because he was like, I always thought Handel was really boring.
Oh,
and I just Handel speaks to me, and I know it doesn't speak to everyone. I know this, you know, it's I won't say it's an acquired taste, but it's different. If the world of opera that you've been in is Bohème, or it is Rigoletto, or it is Traviata, or Wagner, or whatever, then this is like such a different world. But I think that Handel is like the truest, for me anyway, it's the truest way of bringing myself out of my own personality, putting like the most virtuosic, vulnerable part of myself into a role. Cool. Because it's such a clean slate in so many ways. And so this production, it was just, I mean, and Rolando Villazón came, I mean, like, Rolando, this cast, oh my God. So I was so terrified. And I remember at our first rehearsal, and we started singing just like one of the recits or whatever. And she sang the first line, and then I just like, nothing came out of my mouth. I was just like, huh.
Can we like take two?
I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just all coming home that like, I'm literally just about to sing for Cecilia Bartoli. And she was the first major opera singer that was ever on my radar, like as a 16-year-old. And I was like, just kind of like learning. And also I was a mezzo. So I thought like, I always thought I was a baby Cecilia Bartoli. I'm
sorry, wait.
No.
You, What? You have, I was just going to comment that you have a low speaking voice for a queen of the night.
It's why I'm such a cool chick. You know?
But you started as a mezzo.
Aren't mezzos cooler? I mean,
Yes.
mezzos are cooler.
Excuse me, we all started then as a mezzo. Damn, hello.
That's why we're so cool.
We are.
We're so cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking about this the other day because everybody lately is like, especially going into the Met, everybody's, there's the reigning queen, there's the record holding queen, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I guess I have to sort of get it through my head that I am a queen of the night, because I honestly still to this day don't really identify as the queen of the night. I just feel like, okay, this is something that I do so that I can sing all the other things that I had always planned on singing.
Gotcha.
It's
the
not that it, yeah.
Did you ever worry about getting pigeonholed as just the queen?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was warned by Marilyn Horne very early on.
Right.
I was first going so my summer at Music Academy in 2009 was really where I made the switch to soprano. Because before that, like all through school, I really was back and forth. I was really, really back and forth. But that summer, I finally really started singing coloratura rep and never went back.
Okay.
I never went back to singing anything, even as a hint of a mezzo land.
Well, with a high F, did you as a mezzo, did you have the Queen of the Night high F, or was it something that 2009 onward?
So I called them my party trick high notes. I was like the mezzo who had really strange whistle tones.
Okay.
Okay.
And I thought that they were god awful ugly, like just the ugliest sounds that anybody could possibly make from their bodies.
I call them only dogs can hear them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really only dogs who want to hear them. And maybe not even that. So I thought they were ugly. And I was really trying to be a soprano for a really long time. In fact, like right off the bat, I always wanted to be a soprano, but I was told as a teenager, also because my grandmother was an opera singer and she was a contralto and she studied Homer. She was good friends with Richard Tucker. So she had like all these wonderful connections, never had a huge career herself because it was right around World War II and my grandfather came home. She had kids and that is what people did then, you know, and my grandfather was definitely not like an edgy kind of fellow. He was like, I've come home from the war and now I'm going to put my feet up. And I mean, not that he was a lazy guy or anything, but it was like, I am the man and you are the woman and you will take care of the children and I will work and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So she remained like the ringer section leader at her church in Ridgewood, New Jersey, which is where my mom and my aunt grew up. But before that, she was the contralto soloist at Riverside Cathedral for lots of years, like in the I want to say in the late 30s, early 40s.
Wow.
So like she made her debut at City Hall and stuff. She auditioned at the Met, but she never got to sing at the Met. And it would have been the old Met anyway, but so that was like kind of in my family, and that low voiced glory was also just in my blood. And so I thought, and with the low speaking voice, and also like I have a strong middle. And so from the very get-go of singing anything early on, I was told, you're a baby mezzo, you're a baby mezzo, you're a baby mezzo. And I was like, I just identify so much more with like Lucia, you know, like I wanted to sing all those soprano roles. And so right off the bat, like I went to Eastman School of Music up in Rochester, and like I remember my first lesson with my teacher, and he was like, yeah, I think you're probably a soprano. And I was like, really? Because that would be really fun. Like that would just be really fun. But I had no confidence whatsoever. The first major role I ever sang was Cendrillon as a senior in college.
That's kind of high.
Switch five. Yeah. Like kind of territory.
Yeah.
And then, but the summer 2009, the summer that I spent at Music Academy, I was covering and also went on to sing the role of Mignon, which is also kind of Zwischenfach, you know? So I couldn't find my grounding. And I was one of those singers, I tell my students all the time, I got billions of rejections. Nobody knew what to do with me. I had no fach for like the longest time. I just had
You
no
were
fach.
fachless.
I was fachless. I just was fach. I love that.
Oh dear.
Okay, so then tell me about having a child, for having your first child, Mackenzie. Does that change the voice? Did it change yours? I mean, you said earlier that it had gotten like a little bit, I'm assuming that this means like bigger and rounder. So
Yeah.
does that open doors for you now, especially as, you know, you 10 years into Queen? And when I looked at your schedule and what your role debuts that are coming, they are all in a way almost like that next step. I mean, you're walking into Verdi, you're walking into Traviata, you're doing Gilda. You've already done it before, but you know what I mean? Or you've done Gilda before? Or you were scheduled?
Yeah,
Scheduled.
and then
It's
I was
canceled.
supposed to do 2 of them at the beginning of the pandemic.
Right.
And then
But then,
canceled.
like I saw count like Hoffman, but that makes sense to me. Juliet and Romeo and Juliet, Cleopatra and Handel Caesar. I mean, they're moving into that next realm. So is that the goal, and is that where you want to be?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I'm coming home.
Okay.
Because again, I feel like I've never really identified as a queen.
Okay.
And I always felt a little bit guilty for stealing it away from people who really wanted to sing it.
No, it's thrilling to have a bigger voice sing it. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, well, and I have to say that now, like, I definitely realize that I am the actual variety of voice that really should be singing it, because, you know, like, you can look at my track record. I've been singing it almost nonstop, aside from COVID, for 10 years, and I'm not tired. I'm not, I can still sing it, you know, and like so many queens who are cast doing it a lot at the beginning of their careers, they burn out of singing Queen and they lose it.
Yep.
Because you know, there's like so many different micro fachs out there. And one of them, a lot of people, I think, kind of don't realize that there are 2 very distinct different types of coloratura sopranos, which you have like the lyric coloratura, which is like your Erin Morley, you know, and she just brilliantly sings like the Olympias and I mean, just all those just bright, sparkly, beautiful, like firecracker type roles. And those have always been a struggle for me. Because there's just too much of my voice to heave up there, you know? And I've worked my way around it. And with Queen, it's kind of designed differently. And that's because it's a dramatic coloratura role.
Right.
And so that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a Wagnerian soprano who's trying to sing coloratura roles. It just means that I have a much more dramatic quality, and more like in the middle part of on the staff, I have your regular lyric weight soprano voice. And then it just so happens that there's also like that extension up there, you know?
Totally.
So what about the bel canto stuff? Are you going to do any more of that? Like Roberto and Aurora, I could totally see you doing. Anna Bolena, which is all middle voice.
Yeah, absolutely. Like some of like all those bel canto queens, I am like, sign me up.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I loved your Maria Sciorda. I just thought it was brilliant.
And also it was just so much fun working with you.
Oh, we had a blast.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. I mean, the showdown was like,
it's brilliant.
I would have paid money to see that. Totally.
I've been both though. I've done sung with both of you guys in these roles, and it's always a blast to sing with, you know, amazing artists, but not just amazing singers, but, you know, women that also bring this whole acting to the table too, because then it just adds this other dimension, this other color, this other exciting. It just was fun to get on stage. So
yay!
Yeah. And this is the stuff that we missed, right? In the pandemic.
Totally. Oh my God. Okay.
Whole feeding stuff.
But I have like one last question, at least for me, is, and I love him because he's not really like the typical tenor, but you married a tenor girl. Like, what
Yeah.
were you thinking?
I know. What were you thinking? Isn't that like in the soprano rule book? Rule number one, do not marry the tenor.
I know.
Really don't even have an affair with a tenor. Never done that,
Yeah.
but but like seriously, I like, why?
I know.
But he's not the typical, I have to say.
He's not, he's actually, he always talks about how he and Ed Parks are sort of twins. Like he could have, like Ed Parks could have been a tenor and Zach Borachevsky could have been a baritone.
Yeah.
So, and I always bring up the fact that, well, I thought I was a mezzo. So like, that's why it works, because we're almost sort of like a baritone and a mezzo, which those relationships are lasting.
Yeah.
They are lasting.
Isn't that funny?
Okay. So the thing with Zach is that he's my second marriage. And my first husband was a graphic designer.
That's right. I forgot about that. You married a normal. Okay. Yeah.
I did marry a normal, except he wasn't exciting like your normal.
Oh, I got a good normal. Shit,
you got a really great normal.
Yeah.
I had a sweet normal, but there was no passion. And I'm just such a passionate person. And on top of that, I mean, I'm not going to go into all the reasons that my first marriage disintegrated, but we were together since we were children, basically. I mean, we got together when I was 19. Oh. And we were together for 12 years. And it was very comfortable and it was a very sweet relationship, but he had a lot of mental instability. And it was one of those things that it was sort of like after a while, I was just like his mental caretaker. And there wasn't really anything else to the relationship. And then, so Zach and I met in 2013, I guess it was, or 14, whenever I did Operalia. That's where we met, was in Verona, in the city of love. But he was with somebody else and I was with somebody else. And we just were like some of the couple of Americans backstage. And I actually knew his girlfriend because we worked with the same teacher, with Diana. We both worked with Diana. It was Corinne Winters. We both worked with Diana. And so I recognized Corinne at the hotel breakfast room. And I was like, who's that tall drink of water that she's with? And then I met him backstage. I thought he was Russian because Borachevsky, like with that kind of a last name, And then just like, Philadelphia came out of his mouth. And so I was like, oh, you're American. And so then we all went on a double date in Italy, in the city of love. And Zach and I, like diagonally across the table, were just like talking, and just really hit it off, like just as friends, like really just as. And then over the next 2 years, we pretty much lost touch, although we had like both really enjoyed randomly the Minion movies, the whatever that's called.
Yeah.
And so we would occasionally, like on Facebook, post like a Minion meme or something on each other's walls. But that was our only contact for 2 years. And then we were cast together at Opera Carolina, Opera Toledo, joint production of Lucia in 2015. And within 5 weeks, it was like, I need to drop everything and be with this person for the rest of my life. It was so strong. It was like a lightning bolt. Awesome. So we, just dropped everything. We got together and I got divorced, and that was a whole nother can of worms. And then when we were together, Carrie, like Zach and I weren't even engaged. Like, I mean, everything happened so fast, but I think we've been together for like 6 months.
Yeah, but you guys were great together. It was just a lot of fun to be around you two. So, and I just love what's happened, how, I mean, it's just a great story, and the kiddos in the house and still was singing and doing still doing you. So it's awesome.
You're doing okay. You know what?
I think the most important thing with us is that the priority that we talk about all the time is each other and our family. And not that we don't care about our careers. Of course, both of us deeply care about our careers. But I think kind of coming at parenthood, news alert, I was kind of an older mom. Coming at it and like having this family unit, not just like being married to another person, but like having family unit kind of after I've lived a lot of my life, kind of like shows me that like my priorities can be different and dual,
And
you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you've found that balance, it sounds like. And
Yeah.
it's so hard, I find, with artists.
Yeah.
With so many artists, I find that it's like, oh, singing. And then you say, well, what else do you do? Well, I'm a singer. Yeah, and you're like, okay, well, and congratulations to you, really. That's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. And I think it'll constantly keep ebbing and flowing and what the balance is, and especially as they get older and stuff, but it's going to be fun to watch that journey unfold. So, and I love your
it's like you were saying earlier, like, well, what's going to happen when we all go back to doing this? Well, it's like, I don't know. It's one day at a time, but the one constant is that we focus on each other and we make that the number one priority over everything else. Because that's what matters, honestly. Like, okay, the singing thing, I'm here for the ride, but you know, and it's like a wonderful passion that I have, but my biggest passion is for my family and my husband.
It's awesome.
I love that.
I love that too.
Can we quickly ask you? I know. So can we ask you some rapid fire questions? Rapid fire. Woo! Can I start?
Go.
What's the funniest rumor you've ever heard about yourself?
Rumor. Oh, yeah, that I broke up Zach and Corinne Winter's marriage.
Oh.
They weren't married, and when we got together, they'd been apart for a long time. So I was like, wait, you got it mixed up. It was like somebody said on some thread, it was like, doesn't Kathryn Lewek know that Zach Borychevsky is married to Corinne Winters? And I was like, don't you know that? No, that's not true.
Not true.
Yep. Thank you.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Other than wine, puzzles.
Ooh.
I love doing puzzles.
Oh,
cool.
But I'm not really guilty about that.
Yeah. You enjoy it.
Wine.
Wine. Okay, wine.
Yeah.
It's good. It's medicine. 3 things you have to do every day.
3 things I have to do every day. Can I be super sappy?
Yes.
Kiss my husband, kiss my son, kiss my daughter.
Oh. What about the puppy? And the puppy?
Did everybody just melt?
Yes, everybody just melt. But you also have a puppy too. You have a Dougal.
Yes, we have Becca, Chewbacca. She looks like Chewbacca, so we named her Chewbacca.
I love it.
God, that's a great
name.
That's a great name.
She is like the most wonderful family dog. Like, she was a puppy when we got her, and my daughter was like 19 months old. It was like shortly into the pandemic. It was August. And so they've basically grown up together, and seriously, they roughhouse like they're 2 kids.
Love it.
It is so cute. Like, you can do anything to this dog, and she's like, okay. It's such a contrast from you remember my Papillon.
Yes. Yeah. Diva dog.
A couple years ago. Yeah, and he was like, I'm pretty sure. So he was deaf and blind by the end of his life. He was nearly 16 years old, and such a diva dog. He actually made his debut on the Deutsche Oper Berlin stage like 30 seconds before I made my debut. They lost their dog. The tier handler lost the dog to some sort of illness. And Gerlinda Pulowski, the assistant stage director, she comes rushing into my room and she's like, don't you live across the street? Do you have your dog with you? Can you bring a dog over? It was like a Rosenkavalier. And I was singing a tiny little role, but it was my debut in my debut season, 2011 at Deutsche Oper. And I was singing like the hat maker, and the tier handler didn't have a tier. So they were like, can you bring a dog? So it's literally like the funniest thing. And he walked out on stage and sat down with his back to the audience and went like this to the audience. I mean, like seriously, just like a natural born stage hound.
I love it.
Sweet. Whereas your dog now would be like, ooh, shiny object, okay.
It's adorable.
Everyone's rapid fire here.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. What is the worst gift that you have given your other half or Zach? What's the worst gift you've ever given him?
The worst gift.
Underwear.
Carrie, I think we need to call these the not so rapid
They're not
fire.
so rapid
No.
fire.
I mean, I get him socks all the time because he's always wearing through his socks, which I guess is kind of boring, but it feels good though. It feels good to give him new socks. You know, like I got for Christmas this year, I got him a set of like bourbon glasses and a decanter that I thought were going to be really, really nice.
Ooh.
And it turns out they're like super, like they almost feel like plastic.
Ew.
And but I didn't like open the box when it came. And so it was one of those things where I was like really excited about it. And he was opening because the box felt like really heavy. And I was like, okay, these are going to be really nice. And then he opened it up and we were like, ding, ding, ding. And it was like, is this? I know. And I was like, he's like, well, they're an upgrade from the non-existent ones that I had before. And I was like,
that's a nice thing to say. I mean, okay, come on.
He is the best. I have to tell you, I know we're in rapid fire here, but last performance at the Met, and I'm like kind of out of my mind from last week, like learning the Fae and blah, 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 blah.
Did you go on? Wait. Did you go on as that? Did you ever have to? Oh, okay.
No, I covered 3 performances.
Okay. It's over now, yeah.
Pasta.
It was fun. It was fun.
Okay.
But anyway, so, but I was out of my mind because it was like, I learned the role during a performance and then I covered the next evening. And then I had another performance the next night. And then I covered another performance. And I had I had New Year's Eve off. And then New Year's Day, I went in early to the city and I covered the afternoon HD performance. And then I had a performance in the evening of Queen. So I was like at the Met all day in the basement, just like learning Traviata.
And you were double masked, I hope.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so I like I said to Zach, at some point I will be going into some sort of like opera coma of some kind. And I think it happened yesterday because you guys know the parking garage at Lincoln Center.
Oh.
And those spaces are like not a picnic to park in, even if you're like in a smart car. But we have a full-fledged family minivan, Chrysler Pacifica. That fits. I mean, because we drive when we're doing like just national stuff, we drive, and we got loads of crap. So,
did you melt down? Did you have a meltdown?
Okay, seriously, wait a minute. Can I please have a video of that on your way to the Met? When you get to the Met, I want the video of that up on your socials.
And you're like, I can't.
Diva arriving at the Met in my Chrysler minivan.
In my minivan, it's so chic. It's so chic. It's a plug-in hybrid. So chic. It's so chic. But yeah, we got this van. We traded in our Toyota Highlander, which was going to be like our cool parent car, but it doesn't fit everything that we need. It doesn't. No. So we got the van last spring. So it's not even a year. It's like 6 months old. Like this, it's a brand new van. It's a brand new. The problem is that I think I went into the opera coma because I mean, it's never fun to park in that garage, especially with a minivan. Oof. But this whole story is because of something that Zach said, which is going to make you guys fall in love with him. He's a peach. He's just a real peach.
Oh, peach.
So I'm pulling into this space and I get like halfway into the space and I'm like, this feels a little close. Like this just, I think I'm just going to go find another parking space. There are plenty of spaces. This one feels a little bad. You know, those pillars?
We're right.
Uh-huh. No.
And on the end of some of them, there are those like rusty boxes that house the fire extinguishers. So I get myself like partially into this space, and there's this like BMW SUV that's like almost into the space that I'm trying to get into, like really close to the line. Those spaces are really small anyway.
There.
What'd
So-
you do?
She hit it.
It was slow motion. Like I got in and it was like I was looking in my mirror and I'm like that far away from this box, you know, and like I don't know where the passenger side nose of my car is, and I don't want to hit this other car and make that a whole mess. So I must have made like a 36-point turn trying to get out of this space, and I just got myself wedged more and more. So finally I was like, I have no choice. And so I sideswiped myself on the rusty box, which is still in its pristine rusty box state, by the way. It looks like nothing happened to it.
Except the outside layer of rust probably left a nice.
There is a 2.5 to 3 foot long gouge in the side of my brand new van.
And what did your husband say?
So there, wait. So there went all the cover money from.
So
Sorry.
I called him and I was like, it's a good thing I made a lot of extra money last week. I have a new thing for the to-do list tomorrow. We need to find an auto body repair guy. And he goes, oh no, are you okay? Are you, you know? And I was like, no, I didn't get into an accident. I'm totally fine. So I told him what happened. And he goes, that's like the best way to wreck the car. That's fantastic. You're fine. You didn't involve anybody else. It's fantastic. I was like, you are literally the best. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm just about to get into costume and I'm texting him something about Charlie and the feeding schedule or whatever. And I see the 2 pictures that I had sent to him of the car. And I was like, I just got really sad again because I saw the pictures of the car. Because shit happens. Don't worry about it. Go slay.
Oh. Can you talk to my husband? All right, one more. We're going to ask one more question.
No, we have two.
We got. Okay, what was the last thing that you Googled? Car repair.
Probably. No, what was the last thing I Googled?
No.
I don't know. This is the opera coma.
It's okay.
Speaking. Probably. Oh, no, I know what it was. I Googled Met Opera Flute because I couldn't remember what time my performance was last night.
Okay, can we ask you the last question?
Yes.
Can I ask it? Can I ask it?
Go ahead.
If heaven exists, what do you want to hear God say as you walk through the pearly gates?
Your family loves you.
Oh.
What matters most? I'm sorry. I know it's sappy, but it is so true. Like that is, honestly, I think that is the meaning of life. The meaning of life is mattering to the people that love you the most and that you love the most. You know, and that includes friends too. It's like you made a difference. You meant a lot to someone or to these people on earth while you were there.
I love that.
That's beautiful. Well, thanks for talking with us and chit-chatting with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course. Oh my gosh. You've been on the list for a long time, girl.
Yay. Stay well. Good luck in Korea.
Yes.
Yes, and wear a lot of masks. Carrie, she needs a Screaming Diva body condom.
Oh yeah. Early on in the pandemic, that was with Russell Thomas when he was telling me he was going somewhere. I'm like, oh my God, Russell. Like, Russell, you need a body condom. And then we had the whole thing about Screaming Diva body condoms.
Body condom.
You need one for Korea.
Yeah.
Definitely need one.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for chatting with us. It's nice to finally meet you.
Guys.
And give my love to Zach. Hug Zach for both Chris and I, and kiss those babies, man. Those cheeks are life itself. I love it.
Take care. Happy New Year.
Bye, guys. Happy New Year.
Bye.